Hi, I'm David Schenk. I'm an attorney and enrolled agent, enrolled to practice before the IRS, and I talk about tax issues, estate planning, and asset protection. Today we're going to talk about the IRS First-time Penalty Abatement. So what is a penalty abatement? A penalty abatement is when the IRS agrees to remove a penalty that they've previously applied. For example, the failure to file penalty that you would receive if you filed your return late. And they act as if the penalty never existed. Abatements come in various flavors, like the reasonable cause penalty abatement, which obviously requires a reasonable cause, and the first-time penalty abatement, which doesn't require a reasonable cause, but which is only available to taxpayers who have not had a recent tax penalty before the penalty that they're trying to abate. Regular IRS penalty abatements, which are also called reasonable cause abatements, are pretty rare. And why is that? Well, the IRS doesn't see a lot of what they consider reasonable cause for failing to file or pay your taxes. But the first-time penalty abatements are much rarer than they should be. And why are they rarer than they should be? Well, not a lot of taxpayers or even tax practitioners know about them. And since you don't know about them, they don't ask for them. And with penalty abatements, as with many things in life, if you don't ask, you don't get. So let's look at the first-time penalty abatement in more detail. Not everybody qualifies, and even if you do qualify, it's not automatic. But the first-time penalty abatement is designed to reach many more people than the reasonable cause penalty abatement. So the penalty abatement can apply to the failure to file penalty if you didn't file your return on time, the failure to pay penalty if you filed but did not pay, and the failure to deposit penalty for employment taxes. And if the penalty is abated, any interest charge on the penalty, you knew that the IRS charges interest on penalties, right? The interest will also be removed because the abatement is as if the penalty never existed. If you have more than 1 year of returns with penalties, the first-time penalty abatement will only apply to 1 year. It will apply to the oldest year, because after the oldest year, it's not the first time anymore. Although the term first time is somewhat misleading, because you can use this penalty abatement every 3 years, assuming you haven't had a penalty in the preceding 3 years. So to qualify, you have to be current with your tax debt or paying the debt on an installment agreement. You can't have outstanding tax debt. And you must have filed all required returns. But it's okay if they were filed late, since one of the penalties that can be abated is the failure to file on time. It's okay if they're filed late. And you must not have received any IRS penalties other than an estimated tax penalty for the preceding 3 years. And you must not have received a first-time penalty abatement within 3 years. But it's okay if you've received a reasonable cause abatement. So let's look at an example. Sally owes taxes for 2016, 2017, and 2018. And she filed all of the returns in 2023. So they're all late filed. And Sally didn't have the money to pay when she filed the returns. So she's paying on an installment agreement. For 2016, she's charged a failure to file penalty in the amount of $1,500 and a failure to pay penalty of $1,500. And for 2017, the penalties were $1,000 and $1,000. And for 2018, they were $2,000 and $2,000. The reason in my example that both the failure to pay and failure to file penalties are all the same is because They're both maxed out at 25% of the outstanding tax due. Since the abatement is only going to be available to Sally for 1 year, she's going to apply for an abatement for 2016 only. And because prior to 2016, Sally had paid and filed all her taxes on time, 2016 is going to be the first time she has received a tax penalty. And so she's probably eligible to receive an abatement in the amount of $3,000 plus the interest that the IRS has charged on that $3,000. Of course, she still has to pay the penalties on 2017 and 2018 and the interest associated with each of those years. The $3,000 that she's going to save is well worth the effort of asking for the abatement. To apply, you just have to complete IRS Form 843. You can go back several years, but sometimes you can go longer. It never hurts to ask. If you have to go back much further, other options may be better for you. Disclaimer: this video and any accompanying text is for informational purposes only. The information provided does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice. No attorney-client or similar relationship is formed. If you require legal advice, please contact an attorney or other legal professional. This video covers a complex legal area in just a few minutes, and of necessity leaves out much of the detail. Don't make decisions based only on this video.